My son calls me boomer all the time, and everything I do, he says boomer, boomer. And I looked it up. I'm not a boomer.
Are you not?
Well,
Are you Generation X?
No, I think I should be. I'm right on the line between a boomer and Gen X, and I don't like it. I think the line runs right through like 1963, which is when I'm born. And so I think of a boomer as someone who was at Woodstock, okay? And I was pooping my diapers at Woodstock.
Well,
I mean, I was 30, but get it, folks? But I mean, I think of boomers as people that were saying, yeah, I'm going off to see Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I'll be back later, and then I'm going to join the Manson cult. To me, that's a boomer, okay?
I'm seeing here that the boomers are 1946 to 64, so technically you are a boomer.
But why?
But listen, I'm so soundly in the middle of the Generation X generation that I can let you in, but you have to be asked in like a vampire. Ooh. So you still got to start being nice to me, and
Can I be a Gen Xer, please?
Is there a test?
Yeah, there's a bit of a test.
Okay. Well, I don't like... You admit I did get screwed a little bit on the timing of... I think 64 is going way too late for boomers. Because how can a boomer encompass someone who was born just as World War II was ending and me? That's ridiculous. Who came of age, watching Scooby-Doo cartoons. That's insane. That's way too
but yet there is a divide between you and me. Look, I'm wearing flannel like a grunge guy.
Everything about you says grunge. Everything about you says. I just remember you were there in '91 in Seattle. Remember when it was all going down?
Oh, yeah.
You can see you in the background a lot. Well,
I was in Whittier listening to Wilson Phillips.
It's so funny. Whenever I hear Whittier, I think of Nixon,
Yeah.
You grew up blocks from Nixon's house, and I just love that you used to listen to Wilson Phillips with an aging Richard Nixon. Would he come over to your house? Oh, is Matt here? Yes, former President Nixon. He's in the basement. Is he listening to Wilson Phillips? Yes, he is listening to Wilson Phillips. I'd very much like to join him down there. I think it's quite a trio.
Are you a carny or a China?
I like China. Good God, the gams on that lady. Are we taping this, by the way?
First podcast.
That was the first podcast ever. You could argue it was the Nixon tapes. That's the first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember when you listened to the Nixon tapes?
I don't, because I wasn't alive as I was a Generation X.
I know you're Generation Xer, but they're called tapes, and you can listen to them later on.
I know.
Yeah. So you're probably unfamiliar with anything. I'll tell you about Glenn Miller someday. There's actually a way to listen to that music, even though you weren't alive at the time. But, think about it. The Nixon tapes really are the first podcast, and it would have been very funny if he had done it, if you were listening to it and you heard him taking a break to do ads. Yeah. So so Nixon's in the Oval Office, and he's talking to Haldeman and Ehrlichman, and he's like, well, we got to get these bastards. We got to get them where it hurts. How much money would it cost to break into the Watergate Hotel? Well, we have a team that would do it, and it would cost about this much. Well, we could get that money. Yeah, we could get that money. Yeah. Well, just hang on just a second here. It just puts me in mind of. I'm looking at a photograph here of my lovely wife Pat, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice if this photograph was on glass? Wouldn't that be something? Well, let me tell you, it can be. Fracture prints. With fracture prints, you'll get this wonderful picture of Pat or one of the Eisenhower boys or your dog Checkers, and you can have it on glass so that when Pat Boone comes by the Oval Office to swap stories, you can show him pictures and they're on glass preserved for all time. Anyway, fracture. Anyway, back to you. Ehrlichman, Haldeman, how do we get these fuckers? We gotta get in there and we gotta get those goddamn Pentagon papers back. There's gotta be a way to store papers, and I'll tell you one thing. If you want to keep track of papers, you'll need the right software to do it. And that software, I wish Conan was a better improviser and could come up with a fucking company. What is it, Matt? What's a good software company?
QuickBooks.
There you go. QuickBooks. Oh, yeah, QuickBooks software. That way you can keep track. You can get the Pentagon papers that Daniel Ellsberg stole. You can get them and you can keep them on Quicken. You can also keep track of all your slush funds with their accounting app. And this enables you to then take that money and you can send it to those Cubans right away without having to put it through the mail. Anyway, back to the podcast. Today's episode, we're going to get those fuckers. Those fuckers, we're going to hit them and hit them hard. I swear to God, I can do 9 hours of Nixon's podcast. Please, if you liked Nixon's podcast riff, please encourage me to do it some more because I've never been happier.